You will make like a Shein along the way, and this guy is also a good turn 1 play, alongside Access Code Talker if you happen to go second. I mean, you know, to be fair, if you're going second, you're probably boned, but it is what it is. Key cards would include most of these 6 samurai monsters, such as Genba, Fuma, Kizan are the important ones, and Grandmaster, the 6 samurai, of course. These are the ones that allow you to go into all of your links during the sequencing. And then everything else is... Fireflint Lady is a very useful monster for this deck because it's a free special summon as if you open it. You can also search it through Infernoble Arms, Durendal. Everything is basically draw power, smoke signal, 6 Samurai United. You know the drill if you've ever looked up a 6 Samurai deck. It's fairly consistent going first, like I said, going second, don't expect miracles. It's fairly consistent going first. Let's go into a gameplay example and try to give a step-by-step through the replay. I haven't played it much yet. I more or less just finalized the build that I'm currently playing. And you will see along the way what I've included, why I've included it. Alright, so you basically want to be able to summon preferably 2 to 3 6 samurai monsters just straight off the bat. 2 will suffice, 3 is better, and it's also good that you have a card that allows you to get counters on the field. Temple of the Six and Shien's Dojo are the best ones. 6 Samurai United is fine, but you will usually end at a much smaller board if you open just 6 Sam United. So in this case we have Kizan, which will allow us to get the special summon on the Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai. Now the first play is usually going into Isolde. Now what she does is she allows me to pitch an equip spell from my deck. The only one I personally run is Durendal. Yeah, wrong sequencing on my end. Haha. You get to add a card from your deck to your hand, but keep in mind that you can't normal or special summon it for the rest of the turn. Kageki is the one that you don't really care about because he has no special summon effect and no way to bring himself out. So this is the one you always want to add, so you can pitch him to the graveyard along the way. Now, this is the step I was referring to. You pitch the Infernoble Arms Durendal. That's a difficult name to enunciate. And you will summon a Fuma. Now, small note, another point for including Fireflint Lady. If you, in some horrible stroke of bad luck, you happen to open both Fumas, you can also summon the Fireflint Lady from your deck. Then summon her. Use your effect to special summon one of these tuners from your hand. You will need at least one tuner for this combo to go off properly. If possible, you want to keep a tuner on the field when you go into your Shogun. Now, Shogun continues your combo, and he allows you to get a few more counters on the field. He's obviously the one that searches the Gateway of the Six, a very, very balanced card, and a very rather mediocre archetype, but this is what makes the whole deck interesting in my opinion. Now all you want to do is start looping Kizan's Grandmasters as needed. What I tend to do with this deck is go into Halki Fibrax next to allow me to get an Appaloosa. Halki Fibrax will get you another Fuma. You can also throw a Gemba. Say if you were to end on 2 tuners, and you use one to make the Shogun, so you have one here remaining, you can pitch a Genba to go into your Coral Dragon in the extra deck, which will allow you through this combo to get an extra card. It's a rare thing, but it can be relevant. You can also use your Genba. If you pitch a Genba, you can also use asceticism on him to special summon. Well, I can't see the deck. To special summon a Secret of the Six Samurai, which will also allow you to get an extra body on the field. Depends how you play it. Now, asceticism can also be used on Kizan to summon a Grandmaster if you already have 2 Six Samurais on the board, like I do here. Those two will make a Xian. Xian is basically what you want to end on, to have on the side, just so you can do all your plays like normal, without having to worry about it too much. Loop Kizan again. Now that you have 3 bodies in the field, you have 3 different names, and this is a link too. You will go into Appaloosa using all these 4. As soon as that's done, we will go into our Crusadia Avermax. It's probably more personal preference than anything, but I do like having a more or less indestructible card on the field. That also forces your opponent to go into it. You can also use the Kizans to go into Masquerena. Masquerena will add that extra added layer of protection to your Avermax. So he will be untargetable, indestructible, and forces your opponent to swing into him, should he choose to attack on his turn. You know, if they can even do anything when it's their turn. Now, it should be obvious by this gameplay alone that if you get interrupted several times, such as Ash Blossom is very popular right now. Droll and Lockbird is the bane of this deck. Like, if you get drolled, you might as well just scoop. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to say that this is a top tier deck or anything. It's just a pretty cool combo deck when it goes off. Now, Daigusto Emerald is the ones, I run 2 copies of him, so he allows you to get 2 rank 4s on the board. That will also recycle all of your links and maybe a few monsters, tuners and such into the deck before you go into the number FO Utopic. It's the best one I've found. Ouroboros, the rank 4 is pretty good as well. If you want to make sure your opponent gets off on a deficit, and a card deficit, you can use it to pitch a card from his hand at random. But the problem is that you will only have access to a single Kizan once you do that, so you won't be able to go into FO. So that's why I'm not running him. The only essentially flex slot in my build is Coral Dragon. Oh yeah, I run a copy of Instant Fusion, as well as the 2 Called by the Grave to help me facilitate those turn 1 combos. So you go into your second Emerald. Now I will show you what remains in my graveyard by the end of this combo. I recycled a couple of tuners and such. The asceticism is dead in the hand, but we can use it next turn. Utopic into the FO here. FO is a pretty good card. Also indestructible, so this is a very resilient board. The only thing that can truly out this board would be Nibiru, but you know, all combo dies to Nibiru, so that's not saying much. So, back onto my point, I have recycled every single extra deck monster that I have used up to this point for the combo. Halki, Fibrex, Masquerena, Shogun, Isolde. They're all back in the deck, so you can use them next turn. And Coral Dragon is also a very useful card going into the next turn. You can pitch a card in your hand that you will more likely have, and destroy an extra card on your way to doing whatever it is you want to be doing. Now, I usually end on Abyss Dweller right here, because it's the most, I think, universal rank 4 in this context and what we're trying to accomplish. You just shut off their graveyard effects immediately. So that's useful. I prefer running Grandmaster at the end alongside Shein, because if you are to be hit with a destruction effect, such as a black hole, and you negate it and they have a backup one in hand, you are able to pitch the Grandmaster and keep your Shein alive. And the Grandmaster will allow you to also pick up another 6 Samurai off of your graveyard. This is the best one to end on. The Kizan doesn't really do much for you here. Now, people might be running Great Shogun Shein, but the problem with Shein is that he is very often a brick. You are not always able to get those 2 special summons, 2 other monsters on the board, so he will often break your hand. He accomplishes a soft lockdown on spells if you were to have him here. But he is not necessary, and he doesn't facilitate your combos all that well. So let's recap on what we have so far accomplished, and then we'll move on to the utter annihilation of this Blue Eyes player. So we have ended on an indestructible, untargetable Avermax as our head honcho here. We then have a 3 charge Appaloosa to negate up to 3 chain effects. Effects that would start a chain. We have the number FO Utopic Dragon to negate any monster effect that they activate. He's also indestructible. Common theme. Abyss Dweller has turned off their graveyard effects for the turn. And you can also negate 1 spell of your choice. Now, this and this are indestructible. And Shein can avoid 1 instance of destruction. So it's a very resilient board. You have quite a few negates in your disposal. And going into turn 2, if anybody's able to out that, again, discounting Nibiru, Nibiru anyway. So discounting Nibiru, you have everything more or less at your disposal to go into turn 2. You have access code Talker, which will allow you to pop several cards on turn 2. Coral Dragon is useful. And you can just go on. As you can see here, I started this combo with nothing but a Temple of the Six and whatever summons I used. So Temple of the Six and Dojo will allow you to go into this board, assuming no interruptions, no problem. 6 Sam, as I said, is not as bulletproof. But you, even with just the 6 Sam United, you can usually end on this, and sometimes FO, depending on how good your draw was. And maybe a Shein. It's still pretty good, even if you draw the 6 Sam United. So, he thinks he's gonna get a White Stone of the Ancients, but tough luck, buddy! But then he's just like, I'm gonna just summon a Blue Eyes, so you're like, tough luck, buddy! After that, see? What I was referring to earlier, destroy all monsters in the field. I think not. Can't do that. Nobody gets to have fun when you make this board. So, from here on out, you know, the world is your oyster. You just do whatever you want. This is when my opponent finally scooped. Now, this would be, let's say, a Masquerena, resummon a Kizan. Use all these 3 to go into a Decode Talker. And then you have 1, 2 elements in your graveyard without going any further to destroy cards. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, there's no way he's coming back from this. So that's the deck. Let me know if y'all interested in me continuing to provide some more gameplay for this. And maybe others. I honestly just blew everything to make this one deck. I'm satisfied with my choice, but I don't know how often or how long it is going to be until I can get another deck going. But anyway, hope you enjoy. Peace.